Welcome to another fantastic episode of Our Corner, the only podcast that puts the board in board game. I'm your host, Aaron. With me today is the main man himself.
Sometimes sadly, Sean.
And sometimes happily.
Very rarely.
So we had just gotten done with our review here of the Monster Manual, which kind of completed that 3-part series.
I put Monster Guide in one of the episodes.
Monster
what
Guide.
an idiot.
It's a guide for monsters. I don't know what to tell you.
I put Monster Guide. What a fucking moron. I'm sorry. Keep going.
At least it's not those guys who put like bestiary. Like
Bestiary?
they call it bestiary, dog. I swear to God.
Gross.
They call
Icky.
it's a bestiary, but it's called bestiary.
Don't talk to me. Anyway, go ahead.
And I was like, Jesus, dude.
No.
But one of the things that we had kind of touched base on was kind of like the creation of like your own world or like your own story or your own type of adventure and how you want to go about that.
Right.
And what struck me was lightning. And then I got an idea. This is going to be a rough one for you. Buckle up.
Were you blinded by the light?
Why do you have our other podcast background on there? Wrong background, tech guy. Come on, man.
Fucking podcast invasion. Dude, we need a fucking tuck and roll for that
Between
one.
you and him and fucking...
This is a fucking train wreck.
Oh, my God.
And you all bought the tickets.
Listen, Our Corner, we've switched gears. Like, I almost spilled my Diet Coke. Anyway, what were you saying?
So we talked about kind of like adventure building, world building, like your own method behind the madness, right? And one of the things that I was like kind of struck with inspiration on was
Not
kind
by
of,
lightning?
Not by lightning yet.
Bitch.
But it might be a chair if I keep popping jokes.
Bro, it might be. Anyway, you were struck with inspiration.
So I was going through, and there's a lot of dungeon masters who have been doing this for a long time that provide a lot of help with like game hooks, you know, ways to build your world, things to do, things not to do. Lots of just really like cool tools that you can use based on the type of adventure that you want to build. Now, this is just like state laws, right? They don't all belong.
Right.
So you got to kind of mix and match them. The best thing that I have that I can kind of tell you is that you start off with what kind of game that you want to play, right? What kind of game do your players want to play?
Like what type of like thematic notion you want to put on your game or whatever, right?
Let's call it the backdrop, right?
Backdrop.
Let's call it the backdrop.
Yeah,
Most people will call it like, hey, it's a setting. The setting is like Greyhawk, you know, Warhammer, whatever. That's a setting. The backdrop is what kind of time frame, what kind of time period, what are they doing? Like Western is a backdrop.
Right.
Medieval fantasy is a backdrop. You know, there's types of style of play. There's high fantasy, which a lot of people really enjoy. And high fantasy is like where you have magic is everywhere. It's so common that fairies fly from the fucking chimneys, you know?
The fairies fly from the fucking chimney.
The other one is like grimdark. Grimdark is where you have, and these are just the two separates. I always consider just two because you have varying degrees of fantasy. But grimdark is like, I would say it's your Warhammer 40K settings where it's like you don't win, you just kind of do the best possible.
Kill the heretic.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Where it's like, it's very like things are fucked up. You know, you'll see it where it's fucked up.
Yeah.
And like I do like the grimdark settings, but I don't like them. I don't try to be like edgy or like try to get them to be where they're like everything is terrible all the time. Who wants to play that shit?
Yeah, no one wants to play that shit. Nice, Tyler.
I think
Can't even get the backdrop right. Anyway.
and people find that like you can kind of mix these things together and come up with a really good game.
Yeah.
Grimdark when it's supposed to be, you know, but low fantasy, you know?
Okay.
Keep it where not everything is fucking magical.
Okay. And what is the one that you prefer? Sorry to interrupt you, Tyler.
I always kind of lean more towards high fantasy.
High fantasy,
just because it's easier to kind of be like, okay, I can throw anything in there. It's because of magic, you know?
Okay. What about you? Grimdark? Or, I'm sorry, keep going?
No. Go ahead.
No, I prefer. We actually talked about this on torn reels. I prefer low magic systems because I think it brings in too much where it's like get out of jail free cards.
Yeah.
Like I know, Aaron, you deal with this in your games a lot, where it's like, well, why can't I do this? It's like, well, I had to put some guardrails up somewhere because you can't just like you're not a god right away. Like I had to do certain things. This isn't fair. It's not fun.
So as a person who doesn't play those types of games that often, what would you guys think that mine is? Or what would you guys classify as mine?
You're definitely a grimdark guy, and I give it to you because you're someone whose situations won't always be where it's like they won, everybody lives happily ever after. Your situations, and I can see you kind of writing the story is that they won, but at what cost?
I got you.
And that's a beautiful setting for a story. I honestly think we have a sweet spot where we have enough grimdark and kind of like mid to low fantasy.
Yeah.
You kind of get that sweet spot where it's like magic won't solve all your problems, but it's also not going to be unfun for people who want to play with magic. Like,
is that good little touch of balance?
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense.
And those are styles of play. Those aren't like backdrop and setting and stuff. That's going to be where you have is it going to be a Western? Is it going to be a mobster? Are we going to be knights? Are we going to be at that age where you're Hyboria traveling with fucking Conan? Like, what is that initial setting? That's the first thing that you do. Most people, what they'll do is they'll ask their players, hey, what kind of game do you want to play? First of all, let me spoil the fun for you. Your players are liars, okay? Everybody's going to say, I want role play.
No one wants role play.
Everybody wants combat. Combat is fun for a lot of people. And some people do like to play and role play their characters out, and that's fine.
But they don't get any gold.
But it's
not
nearly as many people that say that. I'm sorry, gold coins. What's the gold what is the gold coins?
You said that a lot of people like to play their fantasy character, and I was like, yeah, but they don't get any gold fucking coins for it, right? Right?
What are you inferring to?
The lack of gold coins in my hand from playing my character accurately, might I add, when we played.
You're gonna have to take it up with the DM.
I'm gonna fucking hit you. Okay, keep going.
That sounds like a DM issue.
Yeah. Definitely, that guy's a piece of shit.
That guy's an asshole. Fuck that guy.
Fuck him. I know the guy you're talking about.
Fuck that guy. No, go ahead. Keep going. I'm sorry. I keep interrupting.
No, dude, it's fine. But like, I think the biggest thing is that it's a collaboration. So it's what game do you want to make, and what game do your players want to play? You got to find that nice, because I'll be honest with you, I'm not going to run a game I don't want to run.
Yeah, there's no point of it.
You're not going to play a game that you don't want to play.
Right. Because then I'm not having fun.
Right. And so, like, we've got to get past that point as both dungeon masters and players, where it's like, it's not about one person or the other. So that's how D&D is, and that's how a lot of role-playing games are, is that it's a collaboration. I'll even take it just a step further and be like, hey, if you're not excited about what you're writing for that first session, you shouldn't be fucking playing it.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna get what's known as DM burnout. DM burnout happens often enough where you kind of like, you get so involved into the details of it, and you get so into the depth that the next session is rendered without any details, or very little details, or less details.
Yeah,
until eventually you're just like basically like drawing a line saying player here to player here. And some people can make that work. But how often is it that it's a new DM that does that?
Yeah. That makes sense.
The next thing I would say here is that after you get your backdrop, after you get an idea of the story that you want to write, you want to create a hook. A hook is the entire adventure summed up in 1 to 2 sentences at most.
Okay.
And
that's a good place.
Basically, it should be like this. Ready? Some ancient king's tomb is uncovered, but there's some vicious guardian. That's the rumor. So there's a vicious guardian in front of this tomb, which is why people aren't just like trying to rush in there and get it all. So that's the hook. The players are going to want treasure. They don't know what kind of like vicious guardian this could be, if any.
But it almost guarantees combat.
It almost guarantees combat. So it's something that entices them into in multiple levels.
No, keep going.
Go.
No, real quick. Go ahead. I have to formulate my question correctly.
So it's really cool to kind of go through and see these things, kind of like as you start writing down the initial part. The Professor Dungeon Master from Dungeon Craft, he's phenomenal when it comes to like ideas of how to keep it simple, stupid. There's, how you keep it simple with role playing, how you keep it simple with, NPCs. Another person that does really well, if you got him on YouTube, it's How to Be a Great GM by Guy.
Oh.
And he has a book out, which is really cool. It's something that I've got in my Amazon shopping list that I'm currently working to get. Yeah.
That makes sense.
But
if it's good, I mean,
well, he's got phenomenal ideas. He approaches them very charismatically as well. So it's like you're hooked onto what he's saying. And I think the biggest thing is that when you're playing a hook, first of all, you're trying to keep it simple, because if you try to overcomplicate it, you're going to lose yourself and you're going to lose the players. I say this because of this, right? Most people think that they're the next fucking J.R.R. Tolkien. They think they're the next J.R.R. Martin. They think they're the next Tracy Weiss.
Name an author.
The whole fucking spiel. You're not writing Dragonlance. You're not writing the next fucking House of Dragons. You're writing a story for you and your friends.
And the thing is that people buy the bullshit about it. They buy their own hype. So they're like, oh, yeah, I can really write just because a few people told you. It's like, dude, just because a few people told you that you're like okay-ish, it's like, it doesn't mean you're the king shit about it.
I can't write for shit.
I disagree.
Hang
on, I disagree. I think you can write really well. I'm sorry, that's a complete disagreement on my part. I think you write really well. I think you're a little cheating fucking asshole, but I think you write really well.
We got that on recording, right? We got that compliment on recording? Okay.
That was more like a backhanded compliment, but whatever.
It leveled out. It was like a sandwich, right? There was a compliment, insult, compliment.
Like a supervisor.
Yeah. He's got that management class down, man.
No, so, okay. I was doing a little bit of touching, and this goes for you too, Tyler. I was doing a little bit of touching, like kind of researching a little bit. We were talking about games and like board games and all that stuff, and then just how not so much how it related to D&D, but how it related to a lot of RPGs and all that stuff. And I was looking at it. I feel like a lot of DMs are afraid to go really, really dark, or like are afraid to not go dark, but like make their players not heroes. I feel like that's a fear for a lot of DMs, and I don't know why. Is it, or am I just like kind of missing it?
It's kind of part of the new wave. See, one of the things is that they want players to be heroes, because you should want to be a hero. But the issue becomes this. You can make a really great story by playing with the concept of morality. Like, you're going out there to clear out like a nest of goblins, right? Mm-hmm. Well, what if you get there and find out, the goblins aren't the problem. It's only like women and children, There's no male goblins there. They're all dead. So you're being hired to kill women and children. Most players will do it without a single thought in the head, right? They'll be like, okay, we're here to clear. They're clearly monsters. Mm-hmm. So your biggest thing is that don't have them fight back. Have them try to run. They're running. They're begging. They're doing everything possible to not be maimed and murdered. One of your players is going to stop.
You think so?
1 out of 10. 1 out of 10. 9 times out of 10, it's not going to fucking work.
Yeah.
But that's part of the whole reason why you add a lot of the mystery to the game, is because you want twists. That doesn't mean like change up the ending altogether. Listen, you remember when they did like the scary campfires and shit like that, and they overcomplicated the fucking plot, and at the end the killer was like one person you heard from the beginning of the story that was only mentioned once?
Yeah.
And you felt fucking cheated, right?
Yeah.
Don't cheat them. Make it the fucking butler. There's a reason why stereotypes work. It's because we're used to them. We love them.
That's racist.
But
you're like, it's true. I don't know.
It's true. I don't know what to tell you, man.
I can actually give you guys an example from they both played one of my Death Watch games, and
which I won, by the way.
And they went into an area. It was like a kind of like a hangar, and I had a bunch of civilians in there. They couldn't really tell who they were, but the mission was to wipe everything out.
Mm-hmm.
And if you know anything about Space Marines, they're going to do their mission. Whether it's civilians or not, they're sent to do a certain thing. It depends on the chapter, but they will do it. And you guys played as Space Marines. You actually followed what would happen.
Well, the thing was, and this is I remember the game that you talked about. What took place is I played a Black Templar, which again, space racism, my favorite.
Racist.
They were like, they are going to follow the orders to the T because that's it. Your character, on the other hand, was based off of a homebrew chapter that you made. And that gave you a little bit of leverage on where you can morally stand. Like, salamanders are typically more into humanity. They kind of have more compassion. And so I was like, no, we're following orders. And you were like, no, they're civilians.
Yeah.
And I had to recount to you what the orders were before I pretty much made the call and burnt them all.
Yeah.
But that was that. Like, that's a lot of if you can get that interaction, you've succeeded in that session.
Yeah, and yeah, it was a good session. That's the thing I say. Like, I think Tyler's a really good writer, but I really think that you're a good writer too. And I think both of you guys kind of like sell yourself shirts with that.
I just kind of wanted to add,
I won that game.
Aaron was actually right in doing that.
Yeah, because that was a Space Marine thing.
And they were all corrupted.
Yeah,
he was right in doing that. He did actually what he was supposed to do.
Because orders are orders. I know, but in that scenario, because again, my personal one, I would have totally just obliterated the guy, like, fuck civilians, I don't care. Like, you know what I mean? But like, they were, like you said, they were an offshoot of Salamanders, so I had to play them as an offshoot an offshoot of Salamanders. So I had to have that compassion, a little bit more compassion, a little bit more humanity.
And I think the biggest thing is that there's people who role play their characters well and people who role play the idea of their characters.
Yeah, I think that happened in our game too. When we were playing, a lot of people were playing to what they thought their character was rather than what the character actually was.
Right. And it's a big difference because you have an idea of what you want your character to be.
Yeah.
And then you have your idea of who your character is. And if you can figure out that point as well as a player, you're going to have a great fucking character. You're never going to get rid of it. That's going to be your, like, hey, can we fall back to this guy kind of character? And, excuse me, as a DM, I love seeing people that can actually do that. It's really cool. But to circle back around, and I say this because when you want mystery and you want, like, twists and conclusion, I'm going to give you that same concept, right? You have a nest of goblins. They're all women and children. Can't fight back, won't fight back, trying to flee. The order was to exterminate all of them. You're a lawful good paladin. You have to follow the law.
Right, and that's the law.
But then you have a neutral character. Now you're at odds. You put them in that space where they are at odds. One of them comes out looking like they're either going to come out looking like heroes or they're going to be villains. One way in one faction, they are going to look bad. And that's the kind of stress point that you want to put on them for, like, maximum role play.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, don't do that every fucking session. Some sessions do keep it light. I mean, because, like,
you don't need to have those heart-jerking moments every single time. It's just like one every now and then is perfect.
We're not Frank Miller.
Yeah,
all
bro.
right. This isn't the first issue. This isn't the first issue of Wolverine.
Yeah.
We don't have to fucking go that dark.
We don't have to do all that.
Time,
yeah.
Okay. The next thing I'm gonna say is allow there to be comedy in your game. Nobody here is an actual actor. Like, you are going to have people who want to play and have fun. If you can't make jokes during the time, then there's no point. Like,
and people will say, "Oh, you want to make it as realistic as possible." The idea that there weren't people who were, like, cracking jokes and shit while they were going off to battle is ridiculous. There's always people.
Look at 300.
Do that. Look at Look at 300. I mean, it's a movie, but even in the historical records, they said that they were like in good spirits. They were like singing and chanting and all that stuff. Like they were having a good time. Like a lot of these guys, this is what they did. So for them, this is, if we're really going based on the historical reference of it, this is what they did. This is their life. They're all heroes all the time.
Yeah.
They're constantly in battle. So they're going to find something to enjoy. Like, I wonder how many people we can kill this time. I wonder how many arms we can lob off. Like it's morbid, but that's their thought process. Like, you had to make it like
the other aspect of that is DMs. DMs, you shouldn't be afraid to have characters with like punny names. You shouldn't be afraid to have characters that are kind of like the goofier characters. Like everybody.
Don't try hard either. Don't be a try hard either.
Don't be a try hard where like all of a sudden you've got, you know, the same Boblin the Goblin character showing up. The biggest thing is that you can add characters like there's an insane homeless man outside of like a tavern. You know what I mean? Like he's interesting enough, people are going to talk to him. But yeah, he talks nonsense.
Yeah,
and his name's Napoleon.
Some bullshit. Like that. Just it spices up your world just enough to where it's like, okay, so there's other stuff in it besides we're the heroes, we're stampeding through the town. Let's fucking raid. Let's get on.
And above all that, as a DM, I feel like if you do that and you're not as open to like comedic characters or other things like that going on in your story, what it is at that point is you're just taking yourself way too seriously.
Yeah.
You're just putting yourself at such a high bracket that you can't even fathom the idea of something light happening in your story. Like that's so arrogant of anybody to do.
Yeah. And again, like if that's going to be the case, don't play a board game. Write a book.
Yeah, write a book.
No one's saying that you can't. Just there's fucking people who write books all the time.
They don't sell very well, but they write them all the time.
And I'll probably end up buying them because I love that kind of smut.
Yeah, and it's easy to write a story that can be fun for everybody in a game, but people really need to let their egos go because that's how you enjoy the game by not having the ego tied into the game.
It's a collaboration.
Yeah.
Right. So we've gone through kind of like the backdrop. We've gone through kind of like the type of story. We've gone through like the hook. We've gone through some of the mystery. I think the biggest thing, like a good adventure that can kind of like can put it into perspective would be like, yeah, there's a giant that's terrorizing the town. And then you get there and it's a 10-foot tall dwarf.
Yeah.
You know, like something crazy. And that was an actual I quoted Guy on that one. That was something that just came out of the cuff here. But like that kind of like twist will be like, okay, wait, what the fuck's going on?
Right.
Because like you're clearly not a giant. You just drank a fucking potion or some
Right.
shit. And it allows your players to kind of take that step back from being like it's straight through to
what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
And that would actually be funny. He's actually not terrorizing anything. He's just pissed. Like
he just doesn't know how to be giant, and he's just
he doesn't. He just wants to go back to normal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He doesn't know how to giant, so he's just like bumping into shit and fucking everything up.
And what that does is that provides enough twist and enough mystery that it still stays within the realm of your whole story.
Right.
Because think about it. What was the hook?
The terrorization.
Yeah, there's a giant terrorizing the town. Nobody knew that it was a fucking dwarf.
Yeah, but it entices the character or it entices the players with the combat certainty. Like, hey, you're gonna be doing this, you're gonna be doing that, so it makes it like a fun adventure. So the hook is valid, and then you get there, you like you said, you have the mystery of it. Like, oh, what's really going on? You know, trying to do all the discovery, and then you finally get there. You see the twist that it's not really all that. It's just some dude that doesn't know how to be that, or something happened. You know what I mean?
Yep, it goes from combat to role playing.
Yeah,
and that's another thing I do want to break down here because I was listening to DM Layer on a little bit ago. Phenomenal. I'm going on to their Patreon soon because they have a magazine that you can get by supporting their Patreon. I think it'll be really fucking cool. It has a bunch of tips.
Yeah, dude.
You can, and I think the biggest thing, and I'm going to say this just as a side note for every DM, you can never get enough resources.
Yeah.
You can, if you think that you have way too much, you're wrong. And I say that because there is going to be someone who tells you something in a way that you, all of a sudden, the light bulb's going to fucking come on. Mm-hmm. And you have no idea who that's going to be. That's why, like, you look at my fucking YouTube, I'm subscribed to so many fucking people.
Yeah.
Just off the cuff. I listen to so much that it's ridiculous. I listen to people who study the monster manuals throughout everything and tell us about the monster.
It's because you keep all those resources available. You keep all those resources available to you and everything.
And it's easy to explain to players when you know versus when you're guessing. Like,
Right.
and that's the other thing that I'll say coming back, because we'll segue into that. But when you look at like, I forgot where we were. I forgot before you can never get too many resources.
That's the hook.
That's the hook. That's the hook.
That was the hook right there.
So you go from the hook, right? You get into right into.
Wait, weren't
the
you saying
action.
that you wanted to explain not just the dice rolls, but the fuck? Oh my god, I had it.
It's
just
fucking
a minute.
contagious.
I literally had it a minute ago. I had it a
This is
minute ago.
getting this is getting
I don't
bad.
have it
We
either.
both can't be fucked.
I swear, I was like, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
following him, and then it's gone.
No, I was with you. I even said it like
Yeah.
you said dice rolls, and then I was like, wait, what's the next part? What's the next part? And I can't fucking
Like
grab
the
it.
Role playing.
Role
Yes.
playing. Thank you.
Role playing.
Go ahead.
So a lot
See,
of people,
we're back.
what
We're
they
back.
think is like the role playing is just that social part of the interaction, and then you have role playing, combat, and it's not. It actually intertwines because you have role play during combat. You can talk, you can yell, you can do whatever you want, and you can even use the fucking diplomacy skill in combat. I mean, how many fucking times have you been like, "Hey, I'm just gonna hit this guy"? Now imagine you don't hit him, but instead his sword locks your sword. And all of a sudden it becomes, wait a second, we're at a standstill. What can I do? I can try to use an intimidation. You open it up to kind of be that way for players.
And you have the two routes that you could go. You could be like you could be like the guy that's like, you're weak, you're not able to do this, and then kind of wear him down psychologically with the dice roll. Or you can have it the other way where you're like, hey, what are we doing, bro?
Yeah.
Like trying to reason with him in another way with
Why-
another dice roll.
Yeah, and depending on who the aggressor is, you can really turn this around and be like, why are you attacking us?
Right. And then you get a simple combat action to become a complex move. And it allows you to develop more in the game as your character. Not just that, but it
Right.
creates that bond with you and your character.
And not just that, but now we're looking at, so you go from social role playing, right? Where just the social interactions. Now you have combat role playing, but there's one more, there's skill check role playing. Think about it. When we've done things like where you've had to have multiple checks, you've had to do, all of a sudden it's, why can't this person do this? And they're over there trying their best that they can.
Yeah.
You know, it can really bring out either the teamwork, or you can put into like where there's a rift in the team that you can kind of build on and be like, hey, this person isn't good at this. Can we trust them? It's the whole game is role playing. There's just different levels to it.
And maybe I'm wrong on this, but the way I see it is that a lot of DMs end up doing like the things that you guys do, where they stay with like a lot of their friends and stuff like that. They don't really branch out as much. Maybe it's my ignorance thinking that, but I think they do that a lot. But I honestly would love to see more DMs just go up to random strangers and try to start like getting their games involved and shit like that. Trying to get, like, I say with strangers because if you pick random people, you force them into that story to where they have to now bond. They have to now create that connection to be able to work as a team to go through the adventure.
No, and to be fair, that's actually a lot how it goes with other people. I don't really branch out a lot. It's just a matter of time versus the actual like.
But there is a sect that goes out and
Yes.
branches out.
Keep
Okay.
in mind, right, that there's probably in our friend group alone, there's 5 people. Okay, I already have a party at the table then. But then within my family, there's another 12 people that want to do separate games.
Right.
And so at any given time, I can be running anywhere between 1 to 3 games, and then I might branch out with someone else. I tell people all the time, if you've got a friend that wants to play, come and play. Like, send them. Like, bring them in. My personal favorite is new players. But if you're experienced, cool. You can sit at the right hand, correct me if I make any sort of misjudgments.
And we'll figure it out.
Whatever. We'll figure it out. I think that it's important to understand where you sit in as well within the hobby.
Right.
Because when you go from being a new player to being a regular, there's also a level of ego where you start thinking new players are just terrible.
Yeah, I think
And
everybody
it's
goes
like,
through that for a while.
You're fucking terrible. Everybody's fucking terrible. The person sitting across from you is no less human than the person that's fucking sitting to the left of you.
It's kind of like one of those things where you tell me you're all the time. You're like, oh man, like I look like a poser, or we look like a poser. I'm like, dude, everyone's a poser.
Yeah.
Everyone's a fucking poser. Like
And
everyone does the same shit. So
the amazing thing is that be the fucking poser.
be the poser.
You
Be
know?
cringy. That's how you get better. That's how shit evolves. Be cringy. Do it all. Do it all.
You should be definitely on the point where you have ideas that you're excited about. You should have people that you're excited to play with, but you should also be open to having new people who you haven't met.
And again, it's gonna take time for you to get there. For DMs, bro, let that shit happen. Write the cringy story. Write that super ultra like try hard player, and then learn from it. Being around people telling you, "Hey, bro, that's ridiculous."
If you're having trouble setting things up, I would say that some resources to look up will be to get on YouTube. Find Sly Flourish. They're a group of guys. They made this book. It's called The Lazy Dungeon Master. They have another one, Lazy Dungeon Master Returns. Phenomenal. It'll tell you how to organize. It'll tell you exactly what sessions you need to prep for. It's an amazing book. It's not like the most expensive book of your life either.
There you go.
So I'm going to segue here because we went from role playing and now we're going to move back into that new DM spot.
Mm-hmm.
There is going to be some trial and error. You are going to have cookie cutter NPCs. You are going to have bad ideas. You're going to have good ideas. You're going to have railroading. You're going to have not railroading. Look.
It goes with it.
Yeah.
It goes with it.
Is railroading wrong? The correct answer is maybe.
Maybe. Possibly.
Yeah.
Figured out.
Everything here that we've talked about is tailored to the person. It's to the individual. It's not going to be where everything that we talk about is going to work for you or your game or your table.
In other words, results may vary.
Yeah.
Results definitely may vary.
They may vary. But at the end of the day, you're going to throw away the fucking rules that don't work for you.
Right. Everyone does. Everyone does that.
Like I'll tell you right now. One thing that I absolutely fucking hate as a rule is the fucking I hate saves. I hate like saves off the cuff. Like there's obviously like intelligent saves for like fucking spells and stuff like that. I'm talking about like if you're at like your death saves, right?
Right.
Everybody's like, you only get like one. I'm like, no, you get up to -3 hit points. You keep making a save. Once you hit -3, your character's gone fucking permanently.
We're done.
And anybody can help make a save. So if everybody wants to spend their turn trying to fucking level you out so that you don't bleed to death, fine. But you have 3 turns from your character from when he hits 0 HP. There's no like, if he goes over your hit points, you're in the negative. It'll drop to 0, and then once you're at 0, -1, -2, -3, boom. That guy's gone. How do we feel about reviving dead characters? I think it kind of cheapens it because it's like death isn't permanent.
Yeah, but also it kind of does the whole double-edged sword where it's like, yeah, it cheapens it, but at the same time it's like, but then you're taking it too seriously because if a person wants to continue and there's a possibility of like writing in some way that would fit with the story to make it so they come back to life, you're kind of like depriving that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. I think like all things that we're doing, there's that balance where it's like, hey, it's going to be difficult to be revived.
Right.
You know?
That's what I was going to say. It
Yeah, I was
take
gonna
a toll. Like you can't just, we got to go to the freaking well down the street and then we'll get your guy back.
Yeah,
It
it's got to
needs
be
like
it's got to be an adventure and a half. To
Yeah,
get your guy back.
Scrolls R Us is just open. Let's just fucking pop by real quick.
It's got to be something worthwhile.
And then on top of that, it's, I love the idea of people who are just like willing to let a character go, but at the same time, I understand because you put the fucking work in to make the guy.
And if everything goes well and you create that bond, it's supposed to like hurt.
Yeah,
It's supposed to hurt.
I think too much ability. Which, by the way, DMs, don't be afraid to fucking kill a player.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Even if you cheat,
they knew the risk. They knew the risk when they became an adventurer. That's how it works.
Sometimes you get hit 5 or 6 times in the same turn, but whatever.
Duck, motherfucker. I don't know. What
Bitch,
to tell
I
you.
will throw a chair. I will throw a whole chair.
No,
Fucking
that's the problem.
throw some
Don't throw a
dice,
chair.
bitch. Like,
Throw some correct dice, bitch. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, don't throw a chair. Duck. You're a thief.
nah. Dude, it is, and this is all just like these are all just opinionated. Like, I'm heavily paraphrasing on a lot of the stuff that I received. But like, if you go through and you read through everything and you listen to everything, like everybody has really good ideas that work.
Right. These are just the ones that have worked for us so far.
Yeah.
Like that's it. That's all that we're trying to explain is that these have worked for us in our experience. Do with it what you will, but these are some good tips. And we're even giving you sources of other people who have just as good of tips, if not better, because they're more experienced in the fucking field.
Yeah, dude. Like,
that's it.
Dude, I'll be 100% honest with you. I think you should steal ideas from books, from movies,
of course, you
from
should.
everything. Let me ask you a question, right? You've seen RoboCop.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Take for example, okay? Put it into D&D because that's really all it is.
That's really all it is.
Cybernetic cop stops crime.
I'm with you.
One sentence is just how it is. The moment that you
If
said
that doesn't scream D&D, I'm not sure what does.
and that's the thing. It's such a cool little like niche that you can turn it into, right? Like say it like this: Mind Control Paladin is now stopping crime in city after he dies.
Same thing.
Same thing. And then to boot, let's go with another one. Ready? Let's look at one that's the most popular. Look at Strahd. Strahd is the vampire in 5th edition D&D, right? Mm-hmm. And he's got the whole Barovia. Dracula.
Yeah.
Immediately. Look at what they did with Dracula.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's not hard to find your own resources. I mean, copy them. Fuck's sake. I mean, they're out there. Somebody else copied them. They copied someone else. It's an endless thing.
Everyone does. Even to going to the point, and like, again, I know I have another podcast where I do movies, but this ties into this. With the movie thing, we have a good example with, what was it? Infinity War.
Yeah.
Where fucking Thanos goes through the hero's journey. And that's what made that movie so compelling, because he goes through the hero's journey. Instead of just having the heroes do it, you have the villain go through it, and the heroes are kind of just more side quest characters and everything. You do that backwards, and it created a great fucking story that people loved, that people actually paid attention to. You can adapt some of that stuff if you take it from other sources and apply it to D&D. And you can do that.
They did something really cool with that, is that they cut out a lot of fat from the Infinity Gauntlet series, because there was a lot that was going on. It was a huge, huge event, by the way. Yeah. That they spanned throughout multiple comic book characters. They went through everything that they possibly could.
But because they had to condense it, whatever didn't fit to the main plot, they took it out. You know?
And it worked for them.
And it worked. It's not always going to work, but it worked for them.
The other thing I would say is, okay, get this. This is about to get real. All right?
He's adjusting.
Your villain doesn't fucking matter. Okay? Everybody wants to make a villain that has a sad backstory, that's redeemable in some way. They saw the first Avengers movie with Loki, okay? We get it. Tragic fucking villain. It's a great stereotype if you do it right. Most people can't do it right, though, because your villain has done so much bad shit that your players don't care.
Yeah.
That's how that works. Unless they have a direct tie to that villain,
they don't care.
They don't care.
And that's where I think people get tripped up. They try to do the emotional thing, but then they make their guy horrific. It's like, if you're going to make him horrific, don't make him relatable. Do the opposite. Make him completely like, oh, I just do this because it's fun. Because fuck all you guys. And then all of a sudden it's like, that's a big twist. It's like, oh my God, there's no breaking this guy. He just, like Alfred says, wants to watch the world burn. There's no negotiating.
My favorite thing is to take a villain, right? And a lot of times I'm like, oh man, this is going to be a really cool, like emotional villain, you know? And then I sit there and kind of erase that and go, what's the reason for your villain, right?
Yeah.
The biggest thing is that we've talked about, the last one was like, what's the reason for the monster being there? What's the reason that your villain wants this certain thing, right? It doesn't always have to be a big ass like epic prophecy that goes on.
No.
Your villain wants to burn down a village. Why? I was bored that day. It just happened to be your guys' village.
And how much more menacing is that in the villain? Like, because I can. Because I could.
When I added the world eaters in, they don't want anything else. They wanted to kill you. That's it.
Yeah.
There's no
negotiating with that sometimes.
No,
like that's
they don't.
That's the risk you have to take as a storyteller, that you have to find.
Right.
You can't do the cliche because eventually it will get boring. Obviously, there's stereotypes that we've addressed for a reason, and they're a good place to lean on. But if you're trying to do something creative, don't always lean on that, especially if you're going overboard in one aspect. Make sure that it's all congruent all the way through.
Because there's two things. One that I love I was just bored that day. It gives it that M Bison. To me, it was just a Tuesday.
It's just a regular day, bro. You were just in my way at that point. That's it.
Yep. And then the other one is that the village was evil. They kicked me out.
Yeah.
I was normal until they did some fucked up stuff. And that kind of gives me that Castlevania vibe. Like Dracula was out minding his own business. They burned his wife. And then he's like, now I'm the fucking monster. You all killed my wife.
Yeah, you guys started this, but I'm the bad guy?
Yeah.
That's the route. And for those who have seen The Walking Dead out there, I call that the Negan route. That's the Negan route. It's like, oh, so you guys were all pieces of shit to me, but now that I'm the piece of shit, now it's a problem. Now when you guys were killing my guys, no big deal. But now that I'm killing your guys, whoa, wait a minute. It's like, that's not, that's
that first entrance that when he sits down and he goes, you have killed a shit ton more of my guys.
A shit ton more of my guys,
than I have of yours. Mm-hmm. He's like, so I took the one. And then, that still was fucking messy, though.
That was bad, though. Man. It was bad. Massive spoiler alert, by the way. But also,
fuck him, it's been out for like how many years?
Dude, you'd be surprised.
People still get mad.
No. You know what? They can be mad. That's fine. Be mad. What are you going to do? You're going to fucking show up to me and be like, you should do it.
This is my house. And doxing, and then I'll have people. No, I don't want to do that.
I'm not going to give out an address. I'm just going to say, like, what are you going to do? You're going to walk up to me in public and be like, hey, you spoiled The Walking Dead for me. Bitch, it's been on Netflix for fucking 10 years. Streaming.
No.
They have come off with so many fucking offshoots because it's been around for so long. But they lost their fucking copyright. It's not a fucking spoiler, all right?
They lost their copyright.
Spoiler means that the people who haven't seen it and it's brand new. Guess what? It's not fucking brand new. Just because it's brand new to you. Get your head out your ass.
Yeah,
I don't know what to
that's
tell
like
you.
getting mad about spoilers with like Star Wars. It's like,
bro, what?
That's your fault.
I've never seen A New Hope. You spoiled it for me. It's been out since 70s.
I don't know what.
I don't know what to tell you.
When is that break? When does that change?
Like, okay, this is how far. Apparently, this is the longest I've ever seen. Spoiler alert. Hang on. I had a cousin, and this is real quick off topic. We'll get right back on it. Spartacus had just come out, and I watched it and everything, and I was like, oh man, I'm excited to see how they're gonna do the death of Spartacus. And she's like, hey, bro, spoiler. I was like, this happened in, like, the BCs. What do you mean, spoiler?
3,000 years.
What do you mean, spoiler?
That's like someone who spoils the Passion of the Christ. It's like, my guy.
He dies.
Really?
Christianity. What did you think? How did that happen?
Like, fucking for realsies? Like,
it was so funny. Like, and like, no offense to her or like my cousin or anything like that. It's like, it's one of those things that you're not thinking about, that you're like, oh, it's a show. Spoiler alert. And you're like, oh, wait, it's based on history. Duh. What an idiot. And she told me, she goes, how did you know about that? I was like, well, history. And she goes, what school did you go to? I'm like, what do you mean? It's part of Roman history.
Yeah, dude.
Anyway, sorry, go back.
No, you're fine. Your villains, they're easily replaceable as well. Mm-hmm. If someone kills your big, bad, evil villain, replace them. There's someone above them.
Do the multiverse like Marvel. That's how you do it.
Not even, dude. You could just replace the fucking villain. Just be like, he's just a pawn. There's someone else.
Yeah.
The goal here is to be like, hey, look, I have the setting. I have the style. I have the hook. I have the twist or the curve, however you want to go about it. I have the ability to kind of see how to do my NPCs, how to do my villains. I have the idea of how to initiate and role plays. You have the makings of a full-blown adventure. But your biggest thing, this is the biggest advice that I'm going to give you because it is something that I didn't do for a long ass time, and it always bit me. And I didn't like. I would start off really great with it, and then just fuck it up. And it is only plan for the next session. That is your only goal. Do not plan 2 or 3 sessions. Plan the one. You want to know why? You have no idea what the fuck the characters are going to do.
That was bringing to my point that I was about to make. I was about to make as well. One of the best things that you can do as a DM or as a storyteller or as a whatever, right? Always, especially since you're doing it with other people, always be ready to think on your feet because, like you said, you don't know what they're going to do. They could change it tomorrow. They could be like, you know what, we're going to go east. And then all of a sudden you're like, all right, at the east. They're like, you know what, west. And your guy's not the west the whole time. You're like, well, just put him to the east. Just flip it around. Just accommodate to it. You know what I mean? And that I learned that from you. That's what you told me. You're like, yeah, bro, if it's there, just move him.
It's like, shit, I didn't plan for West.
Yeah, I didn't plan for West. Fuck it.
The
We'll put him
biggest
over
thing,
here.
and this is it, right? If you're saying like, hey, I have a session, okay? The castle that they have to visit is set eastward, and your players are like, I am going westward. Well, guess what?
Now the castle's over
The
there.
castle's in the west, and it turns out that the lead was a fake lead.
Yeah.
The person was a spy, and then you just fixed your fucking problem.
And you go back to it. Back to
because
story.
you've only planned one session. Now, if you sit there and you go, yeah, I've got them heading east. There's going to be boats. You know, it's got to take them across the land. But then there's like a dragon turtle that stops them, and they have to answer 3 riddles from a sphinx from the pyramids because swamp gas reflecting off of Venus. What the fuck ever.
And also, don't be afraid.
Wrong podcast.
And also, and like maybe I'm saying it like the worst way. Also, don't be afraid to bully your players. If they're going one way and you're like, no, you have to go this way, and you can't like change it, just keep sending swarms after them. They'll eventually get the picture. It's like, oh, we got to go this way. All right, cool,
Yeah.
bet. They're going that way.
Well, there's immovable roadblocks that you can add. Like, okay, well, there's a fucking army camp down there. Time out. That's a problem.
Right.
There's 5 of us. We're level 3.
And there's an army down there.
There's an army down there. That's a roadblock.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, your players can do things like we can try and...
It's a roadblock except for your brothers.
I-
Your brothers would have been like, let's fucking go. I like
Yeah.
them odds. It's like, no.
Aaron, for once, please let me be there when you have people go, all right, you set everything up to go east and everyone wants to go west, and you're like, fine, and you pull out the fucking binder, like because you knew they were gonna do that. You're like, no, I did both ways. Like, I want you to do that just once.
Your brothers aren't menaces in games, though. I'm
They
sorry.
are.
really
They are. They're murder hobos.
Thank you. Literally murder hobos.
Yeah. If you don't know the definition, murder hobo is someone who plays a lot of Skyrim and decides that translates into a role-playing game.
I'm feeling called out
It's
here.
it's not. It is not in any way, shape, or form. If that's the game you run where you can just murder everything, fine, dude. Then that's the game that you have the most fun with. If murder hobos are a problem, I've got one word for you. Fucking zombie dragon.
That was like 8. But whatever, I guess.
Fucking zombie dragon. That was like 8 syllables, I guess.
But it wasn't one word.
Anyway, the whole point is consequences.
Wait,
okay?
did your zombie dragon have like a hyphen in the middle? I'm still trying to figure this out. It's
Okay.
one word.
Hear me out, right?
Is it a feminist? Is it like hyphenated?
Your characters kind of border on the line of where they're basically villains. They're murdering people, they're doing whatever they want. Instead of having it where there's like law and guards that are after them, no. Your big bad villain just recycles the bodies. And they have a dragon that's made out of the corpses of all of those bodies. And depending on how many bodies there are is how strong that zombie dragon is.
You're an asshole, God.
I'll tell you one thing.
Go on.
Go on. We're listening.
I'll tell you one thing. They will not do it again.
They'll stop. They'll be like, all right, I get the point.
Or they will do it again, and then you have another fucking zombie dragon. It just keps going that
Brothers
route.
are going to keep going for the zombie dragon. I'm sorry.
Right. And if they win, great. But it's going to be one of them big fucking fights. The other thing is that there is consequences to actions, right? I mean, obviously, you can't let murder hobos run around. And a big problem that we've seen with murder hobos, and this is kind of like coming into the conclusion, this is where you're going to run into a few problems. One is trying to prep more than one session at a time. Mm-hmm. The other one is going to be your players wanting to be murder hobos and not wanting to go with the plot. This is where we talked about kind of like railroading, but that's coming up next.
Yeah.
The biggest thing here is consequences, right? Your party steals, kills, whatever. There's a handful of ways that you can do this, okay? First one is really cool. You have them be approached by other evil beings and have them consigned for jobs, like assassination attempts. We need you to get in there, murder this kid. He saw way too much. He's a loose end. We heard you're those type of people. That's the soft way of kind of like going about it. The hard way is, well, now you're getting ran out of town. You know, your characters will be caught and hanged. Well, we should be able to have a chance to escape. You have a whole town looking for you. Someone's finding you, even with stealth.
Yeah, you better hurry. You better get the fuck out of there quick.
You better get the fuck out of there quick. Another one, if they're one of my favorites, is the jail. You get put in jail. Now, there's a way to escape from jail. You're either going to have a whole party of murder hobos or you're only going to have one. There's no in between.
Yeah.
And maybe you do get lucky where you don't have any. But if you have one, jail. Couple strikes, jail. You know, he can spring himself or they can spring him out. One of the two ways, or they can pay the fine, however they want to go about getting him out, and kind of teach him that lesson. Rough him up, be like, okay, you've lost some hit points until you rest or whatever.
Right.
But if they keep doing it, be like, your friend's in jail and he's not coming out. So you can either re-roll the character or you can stop playing.
Yep.
Because you're disrupting the game. You're ruining everybody else's fun. If you have a whole party of murder hobos, jails a couple times. After that, hey, look, it's clearly not working out. Let's move the fuck on from this game.
Yeah. Or change the game.
And again, those are just a handful of ways that you can go about it. Because, like, honestly, no D&D is better than bad D&D.
Right. And remember, balance. You can have a great game, and you can have a murder.
You also can't be a fucking dictator about it either. You can't be like, oh, my NPCs are just complete fucking assholes to the party all the time.
Yeah.
And your party is going to eventually be like, I'm done. I'm going to fucking hit them.
Yeah, I'm not going to, I don't care anymore.
Like, you have to have, like, yeah, you have asshole NPCs, but you also have kind NPCs. And how they interact with the party is how they interact.
It's supposed to be to a point where it's almost neutral, not one side favoring the other.
Yeah. Like, that's going to be another subject we go on here. Kind of to go into like our end game, like how I did that, quote unquote. Railroading. Your players who want to disrupt, they don't want to go with the flow. This is where railroading comes in. I want to give it to you in like the scene of a movie, right? I'm going to come back to RoboCop, right? When they put RoboCop down, and they're like, hey, he's going to go do this. He doesn't like sit there and they like explain to him for 8 hours how he's going to go do this. He does it because RoboCop already knows.
Right.
They're like, hey, you're going to go stop crime in Detroit. Cool. He goes down, fucking goes through there, stops crime. He goes, where does he go? He goes right to the streets. People are like, oh my God, it's this robot cop.
RoboCop. Close.
That's a healthy form of railroading.
Right.
You take them from one scene to the next, but also you allow them a little bit of time to role play. So it's like,
give them time to breathe, as you will.
Right. So in the beginning of the game, it's important to kind of get into the game. I know it sounds strange, right? If I sit there and I go, you guys are in a carriage heading west through the hills to the town. Okay? I told you where you're going. I told you that there's only one other obstacle in there, and that's the hills. If I sit there and I go, first you're going to go through the hills and the grasslands, and then, start info dropping a bunch of shit about these hills and grasslands, it's going to be like, hey, as you guys peek over the hills, you guys see the town. You're probably about an hour away from it. How do you guys want to handle this? What do you guys want to talk to each other? Do you want to spend some time role playing?
Do what we got to do.
Leave that open. So if they go, well, I'm going to introduce myself to these guys. Like, great. As the caravan's rolling, you guys begin your introductions. And then immediately you have not stopped the action from getting from the start of the game to the town. Where did you come from? You're going to cover that in your introduction. What are you doing? You guys are going to cover that in your introduction. Or not. You'll uncover it as you party together.
Yeah, you'll figure out what's going on as you develop.
You have to trust your players enough to play the game, but you have to not trust them enough. Remember, think about it like this. If everybody has a gun in the room, everybody's going to be real nice to everyone else.
Right, exactly.
So take with that as you will. Take these tools, take these tricks. Honestly, I'm probably going to talk a little bit more on the resources, a little later on.
Yeah.
But I mean, dude, there's so much out there that if you just took like maybe even a handful of hours and looked through what you could find, fucking changes the game entirely.
Yeah, absolutely. And you make your game more fun. You evolve it in different ways and make it to where it's enjoyable, not just for yourself, but for your players. Because I know that's a lot of DMs out there. They have an issue with some of them, not all of them, but some of them have issues with being DMs because then they can't play and they feel like they're missing out on the gameplay. But this way, it's more like, I guess you're kind of unifying everything.
Yeah. Don't forget, this is all make-believe.
Yeah.
Right?
It's a game.
Everything that I'm telling you here could not work at your table.
At all.
It could be a fucking disaster. Play the way that you want to play and that your players want to play and what works for you guys and what has you having fun. Because at the end of the day, it's you and your players.
And don't be afraid to try different things because they could all work out or none of it could work out. But you'll figure it out as you get there.
Other than that pretty much wraps it up here.
That's a good
I
point.
think the next episode we should definitely take a step back from role playing. Let's talk about some of our other board games. That's how you look over there.
Yeah, bro. I love the zombie game, dude.
So we are going to talk about some other board games that I've got, that we've play tested as well, so that way we can go over it. Specifically, I've got Dice Wars, Zombies, and One Night Ultimate Werewolf. We are gonna fucking get on those. And the beautiful thing is that all three of those games are different play styles. So you're going to be able to compare and contrast and be like, I like this style, I hate this style.
Yeah. You figure I wouldn't like this game because all of you guys attack me in this game, but I love this game.
It's so weird to see you as a fucking victim.
You guys never, I never initiate the attacks. You guys always attack me.
Here we go.
And you want to know something? I was sitting there thinking about this game, and I have some homebrew rules that I'm going to apply to it. That's going to be really fun. It's going to change it up. So we're going to set a date here where we all play, and then we kind of move through those games. So some of them are like 2 to 6 players. Some of them not so much. So we'll get
a chance to see it. We could do it. We could do it.
I think what we should do is we should at least do one round, so that everybody knows how the game works.
Yeah.
And then we'll do it on camera.
Okay, I'm down.
Because that way, and I think it would be a beautiful thing. Just because that way, you're not stopping every few seconds to answer the question.
Right.
But you can still stop and answer questions because they're still new.
Right. Exactly.
So
I'm down with that.
Perfect. And then you're gonna hate the next one after that.
Why?
Because we're gonna be playing Star Trek, the role-playing game.
God. I'm down though.
Did you say Star Trek?
Star Trek, the role-playing game.
I'm
Did you
down.
say Star Trek?
I'm down. Number
You're
one.
down? Oh my god, it's 2nd edition.
I'm down. I'm still down.
And then I'm
cool with
thinking, there's another one out there called Arkham Horror. I'm gonna take a look into.
Cool.
Kind of Call of Cthulhu-y.
Yeah, I'm down
Make
with
it
that.
so.
I'm down with
All
that
right,
stuff.
folks, that'll be it for this one. I've been your host, Aaron. With me tonight has been
Sean, as always.
Have a good one.
See you guys.